Tariq, Ramadan, there was an article this morning in one of the French newspapers pointing out that blasphemy has been decriminalized in France since 1791. Your thoughts on that?
Yes, I think, it's a recent phenomenon even, because, 50 years ago, if people were to talk about Christianity and Catholicism that way, it would have been even illegal. Now, some Christians are offended by the way they are treated, but it doesn't have the same reaction. But I would say that once again, please just put things into context and look at the Muslims. You remember that Geert Wilders in the Netherlands, he also promoted a movie, and he was surprised by the reaction, very non-violent and peaceful reaction by the Muslims, and he had to thank them. I think that if you look at France, it's exactly the same. The Muslims are just fed up of this treatment, which is based on, in fact, not dealing with the law. The Muslims are not referring to Sharia to respond to this movie and these cartoons. They are referring to something else. They abide by the law and they accept the fact that it's legal to do it. What they are asking for now and for the future is it's legal, but is it ethical? Is it a good thing for the living together to do things like this? When 17 people have been killed around the world, is it the right time to just publish a new cartoon just to provoke such a reaction?
Ethical.
What is the point of doing this?
They were killed by the Muslims who act like robots.
That's not the point.
They weren't killed by the movie. So they weren't killed by the cartoons. So basically, the responsibility is on the assassins, not on the people who publish something.
The responsibility is not only on the assassins or the killers. The responsibility is also with people who have,
let's
put it that way. You are in France. You are in a rich
and the killers
society.
have.
Let me finish. From where you are, with your richness, wealthy and comfortable
situation. If you are poor, you are not the killer. It's not.
Just please let
the people. Let me finish. You just insult the people, and if they react emotionally, you say,
you are insulting the poor. The poor are not killers because they are poor.
No, that's not poor. This is not what I'm saying. I'm saying in poor society, people can be driven emotionally. And if you don't get this, if from where you are...
Hold on, please, let me finish.
In a rich society, you provoke such reactions, it means that you don't have a mind, that you want publicity, money, and recognition. You don't want respect and you don't want dignity. The point is that Charlie Hebdo is not working out of dignity, just out of publicity. This is the point.
All right.
It's a point of view, but what we can determine as ethical or not ethical, well, it's a long debate. What I'm observing is that without the very tense context, international context connected to the American movie, without this international tense context, well, the cartoons in a liberal society like France or in Europe, well, as cartoons, they are not offending the Islam in general or the Muslim people in general. But in this context, yes, they are not relevant. Yes, they could be a pretext for a provocation. Well, the moderate believers, the moderate Muslims, have to make kind of a distance.
Let me ask Ammar Abed Rabbo about this, because as you point out rightly, there is an international context. We've seen the images of the preemptive measure. The French schools have been closed. Thankfully, no one's been killed over in this particular instance, and we don't know of any attempts to harm anyone. But when we discussed it last week, Newsweek's Christopher Dickey said that there is a question now with the internet, with the fact that news on one end of the world travels much faster than it used to. He said, when the world's a crowded theater, do we have the right to shout fire?
It's a good question, but maybe Chris should have asked Newsweek about it, because the last cover of Newsweek is amazing, and there's an interview of Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who's been fired from Netherlands, who's been expelled from Netherlands, and who's known as a liar, and who's known for her hatred to Muslims. And she's maybe one of your friends, but these are facts, you know. I mean, I'm not creating. She's
not facts.
She's been lying, and she's been expelled from the Netherlands.
No, you are lying.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. She hasn't been expelled from Netherlands.
She had to leave. She had to leave Netherlands because of lies. I mean, this is fact.
Death threats.
Everybody can check these facts. I'm not lying, and I'm not saying nonsense. So anyway, I mean, I think it's very dangerous that Newsweek use that kind of people to talk about Islam. I mean,
right, but that wasn't Christopher's doing.
Yeah.
The bigger point, though, is that anytime something like this happens, it's no longer just Franco-French, is it?
No, definitely not. I mean, definitely not. It's, as you said, it's a village. Everything that happens, what we're saying here, it can be seen in Syria or Tunisia or anywhere.
The globalization of the media.
That's the problem. Is that maybe, I mean, the Muslim divide was Dar al-Harb, Dar al-Islam. Why don't the Muslims let us unbelievers live the way we want and believe what
they do?
No, I mean, no, because they don't like the American movie, which, by the way, is completely faithful to life of Muhammad anyway. To
what?
Yes, yes. I mean,
you can't say that.
It is faithful. You have just to read it. I mean, this is basically.
It's a ridiculous video.
No, but it's faithful.
Very cheap, very ridiculous.
Right, ridiculous, cheap. But it is faithful to the
That's been denounced all around. Tariq, Ramadan, let me ask you. The issue of the fact that this is happening in France, but it has global repercussions. As a result, what do you think the effect will be on France?
I think, we don't know. And we heard this morning the foreign minister saying that the preemptive measures are going to be taken, and they are taken in order to avoid reactions. Because once again, we are in a global context after what happened in the States, and even the people misunderstanding that this video was not coming from the American administration. This was completely isolated and with people trying to provoke this situation. I think that we have two things to say. It's first, we don't know. It could be out of control very quickly. What should be done? Any clear way for the Muslim intellectuals and scholars and activists? It's very much to be vocal now and to say, don't react, ignore this and go beyond this, because this is exactly what some people who are playing with the clash of civilizations, or as we are hearing in your program today, people saying, oh, this movie is true as to the fact this is the true image of Islam and Muslims. That's just silly statements, and we have to ignore this.
Please, let him finish. Please, let him finish.
The second thing, which is very important, is you and me and all the citizens should understand that now it's their business. They cannot let Charlie Hebdo and people who are provoking on one side, and Salafi and people who are emotionally reacting, and to let us in between. We need to come to understand that, as you are asking, what could be the impact on France? It's going to be the impact on all of us, not only on the Muslims, on all of us, because what these people are doing on both sides is to destroy the living together, is to destroy the fact that we have common values, is to destroy what is essential for all of us. It's what can bring us together. This is what they are doing. So let us also be vocal in France. And when the Prime Minister is saying freedom of speech is a right, we are going to defend it, but sending also a message to the people, you have to act with responsibility. It means that responsible citizens should respond to these populists from Charlie Hebdo and others trying to make publicity and trying to create fracture between the citizens.
And we'll leave it there, but I want to thank you very much, Tariq Ramadan, for joining us from Doha. I want to thank as well our guests in the studio, Fady, FADEL, Ammar, RABBO, and Radu, STOENESCU. Thank you for joining us here in the France 24 debate.